Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video, and I am here on my Dino A Day review series, and we are on to the most powerful PvP Wyvern, and that is the Poison Wyvern. This guy right here is an absolute monster. This is a little bit beneath max level on official servers. I'm going to go ahead and give it some XP so you can see what it really can get. These things are amazing. First off, their natural colors are like greens, blacks, and yellows, which is really cool. I obviously painted this one just a little bit, but they can have some pretty crazy stats. This one has awful stats because when you imprint, I would probably end up getting around 10,000 on this guy, probably 1,100, and then probably like 340. If you did it well, like a well-established imprint here. So, the Poison Wyvern. First off, the Wyvern classes in general are really unique. A lot of people don't realize that it's just a Wyvern. Each one is really good at something. The Poison Wyvern's ability happens to be PvP. Now, let me show you why. Now, stats-wise, health, yeah, it doesn't really matter a whole heck of a lot because that's not what I'm keying in on when you get the Poison Wyverns. Oh, I'd be like, oh, I want 25k, 20k. It doesn't matter. Wyverns do not have saddles. You are going to get shot. You are going to lose your Wyvern if you move towards somebody. That's just how it works. Sorry, facts. Stamina, this is what you want to raise just a little bit. I like to have mine around 2,000. And there is a reason behind that. I'll show you that in just a second. And then there's two more stats. Weight, I usually like to have mine in case somebody grapples me at around 800. So that way you don't have to have a really large character in order to weigh me down. And then I just crank melee on these guys. Now there is a reason behind that because nobody wears gas masks. Even if you do, you're not stopping this. My goodness, there we go. Now, some people are going to look at my stats right now and be like, oh, that's not official. Unofficial, I have had a Wyvern with 1,000 melee damage. It is possible. You'd have to just crank melee damage, but this isn't even the highest I've heard of. So, and I've had Wyverns with 25k health, I've had Wyverns with 4,000 stamina, and I've had Wyverns with 2,500 weight. So these are all stats that are highly achievable if you want to key in on one of them. Now, what do you do with this guy? So other than being really cool looking, they are really nice tames. They can harvest meat really well. You can see that right there. There's a body, and I just gathered, this is 1 times results. So 17, some keratin, some stuff like that. They do take pretty heavy fall damage. I just happen to be in GCM mode. And they do pretty good damage overall. I mean, you can see that right there, 683 on the bite. If you're on the ground, you use your tertiary attack. You got a wing attack to send things flying and gather things. I'll show you that in a minute. And then this guy really excels with this attack right here. You can see there's that 854 initial hit. And it does damage while you're inside of it as well. And then he just, shreds. But it's easier for this Wyvern just to bite because that's what you're best off doing. Really, that green thing is the green cloud of death is not meant for, lack of a better words, for, come on, hit this thing. I'm going to snipe this thing out of the sky. That's my goal. I almost got it. It's not meant for PvE because it doesn't really do enough damage to justify slaying things. It does hold people back, but PvE is more of meant for the Fire Wyvern and the Lightning Wyvern. The Poison is definitely a PvP weapon. So how do you really do that? Now I'm going to show you an example. Now with the Poison Wyvern, what you can do is you can go over to a cave, I don't know, like Oil Cave over on Ragnarok, which is a very commonly built-in cave for larger tribes. Even smaller tribes can hold this pretty easily because there's only one way in, one way out. Now, with this cave, there's a small entrance, there's a small exit, and that's it. There's only one possible way. How you hold this cave either from the inside or hold people from coming out of this cave on the outside is pretty easy. You gotta kill everything nearby, which means I gotta take out these Argies. There we go. Problem solved. And then I kind of go over here. Now this is the only entrance. It's a small little cavern hole. This is why it's so popular because you gotta get around this corner to get in here. Now if you're holding this on defense or offense and you have a tame right over here, go into first person and go ahead and blast these corners. First off, it obstructs your view. Second off, nobody is going to be able to get in and or out of those different locations, and that's really awesome for PvP purposes. And you can do this with a basilisk, you can do this with a poison wyvern. Either way, it's really, really good for you to have access to that. It's something that's really quite useful. And just in general, having this ability to gas an entire area is really OP. The only way to prevent being destroyed by a poison wyvern is actually pretty easy, and that is to wear a gas mask. But gas masks, again, they have a durability, so they will, unless you have a really good gas mask, you're going to one-tap any gas mask with a good poison wyvern. So there literally is no counter except for just staying away from a poison wyvern. And that's just, that's how it is. I mean, I've seen some people with ascendant gas masks just get whacked by poison wyverns. Doesn't really matter. Now, one more thing that poison wyverns, wow, can't speak right now, are really good at, just like the other wyverns, and people forget about this, is gathering charcoal and thatch. Now, thatch comes from normal trees. Excuse me. Still early in the morning for me. So, if you go to a bunch of normal trees like you see right here, you land on the ground. You can go ahead and use your tertiary attack and gather a very large amount of thatch very quick. That's just how this guy works. That's what I would suggest you to do. And I mean, that's what, 6 trees, 500 thatch. Not too shabby, if I may say so myself. And that's a really easy thing you can do, is just gather thatch with this guy. A little bit of wood, but I would say, I mean, so the Megaloceros gathers technical better thatch, but this guy, in my opinion, has the ability to move faster, which means it can gather more. But again, that's my personal opinion. Take that for what you will. I know a lot of people argue with me about that. Honestly, it doesn't matter. They're just about the same. We're talking like minor differences, and depends on where you're at and the level, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to go ahead and show you a really unique thing about this. One, I got to land for some stam. He doesn't have high weight, so we're going to drop some of those things, because these things take a huge weight hit when you hold them down. So I'm just going to drop everything. Why not? So the less weight you have on them, the faster they move, which is a big, big difference. They do have a pickup attack, but there's only so much they can pick up. They cannot pick up a mammoth like a Quetzal can. They can pick up dire wolves and some large creatures, but mostly small. And you just use your C attack in order to do that, which is pretty unique, obviously. But what makes these even better is they have the ability, and we're just going to keep flying over here, to gather charcoal. And people forget about this. This is something that a lot of people just like totally forget about. I don't know why, because early, middle, and even late game, if you're in like a dire pinch, having charcoal in huge amounts is very, very nice to have, because then you don't have to burn it. You don't have to just like go gather a ton, especially if you're a smaller tribe and you're like, oh, I need charcoal now. You can go out and gather a bunch with a wyvern. Now, in order to do that, all you have to do is find yourself the charcoal trees. Now, this guy right here can do that pretty easily on Valguero. You just have to go over to the Wyvern Canyon. And in the Wyvern Canyon, there's a bunch of burnt trees. And those burnt trees, when you use your tertiary attack on them, will give you a large amount of charcoal. Now, a lot of people go like, oh, why don't you just use a Therizino? Or why don't you use a chainsaw? It's got nothing to do with the fact that I don't want to use that. But when it comes to safety, being on the back of a wyvern, meaning you're not going to get hit by a Perlovia, meaning you're not going to get destroyed by a lot of things, is always, always, always a good idea. Because as soon as you get off, you're going to get smacked by something. That's just how it works, because nothing really aggroes naturally to a wyvern except for like a Giganotosaurus, maybe a Rex. But when it comes to a wyvern, nothing aggroes naturally to it. So that's why I usually stay on the back of these guys. Plus, it's faster. So that's that. But what you can do is, as soon as you start seeing these burnt trees, for this map, you have to go down into the Wyvern Canyon. You'll start to see these trees show up right about now, just like over here. And these burnt, funky looking trees, notice how the mantis, as soon as I would get off, that mantis would aggro to me, but because I'm on a wyvern, he doesn't care. All you gotta do is smack these trees. Now, you will get a pretty good amount of wood as well, so you'll come back and be able to make even more charcoal with the burnt wood, especially if you're early game. That's not too bad at all. Now, realistically speaking, you could get off and use a chainsaw and get quite a bit. Like a good chainsaw, you'll get a ton of charcoal. But again, speed-wise, I'm taking my wyvern around. I mean, 131 charcoal for a small tribe, medium tribe, solo is going to be plenty of charcoal for a little bit. Well, let's look. So I just got 167, and then I got potential to have another 408 more. I've already got my Wyvern to like a third-ish ability to carry. And then you can just sit down here and chew those things up. You could clear the canyon if you wanted to of all this stuff and then use your Wyvern or your hands in order to gather this stuff, but it's entirely up to you. I would personally, not, but that's me. I like staying on the back of a Wyvern because I know I'm not going to get throttled. So as soon as you're done, you just get up and leave. If you really wanted to, you can see up here, these trees are not charcoal trees. Just because they're bare does not mean they're charcoal trees. You're going to naturally gather thatch from these. You have to go into a burnt area in order to get it and get the burnt trees. Now, sometimes burnt trees randomly spawn around the map, but it is very, very uncommon. I think it's a glitch in the game because sometimes I've seen them and like, wait a minute, why did I just get charcoal from that tree? It's an accident, so sometimes it happens. But again, my review on the Poison Wyvern, this guy is a PvP master. If someone's on the ground and you get good with this thing, you can start just bombing them from the sky like this and do like strafing runs. And when you hit them with those strafing runs, you can kind of just like pin them in. If you have like 6, 7 guys on this, look at that. Even if they go through that cloud, they're taking damage. So pretty powerful stuff. And if you hit dead on, it is over on a good Wyvern because they ignore armor. They just go straight for death. So anyways, hopefully this video helps you out. And other than that, teach on the Wyvern out.